Strange New Worlds has delivered us a couple more awesome episodes. And now that we got our release schedule sorted, sort of, we're going to be covering at least half the episodes on the day they release. So this week, we're talking about the 5th episode of Season 3, Through the Lensi of Time. Maybe they might have accidentally misspelled it. We'll figure that out later. When we get us some Indiana Jones-style archaeology, a little blood magic, because lymph ain't it, and some cosmic horror shite in an episode that brings us even more of our new favorite recurring character, Nurse Gamble. And in the 6th episode, the Sehlat who ate its tail, we split the crew between the Enterprise, which gets eaten, and the USS Farragut, which ends up under the command of its first officer and has to try to rescue the Enterprise. And who is that first officer? I think you know, or you wouldn't be watching / listening. And if you really don't know, go watch the episode. Because we're going for spoiler territory here, folks. Seriously. This is Treknicity. Welcome to Treknicity, a Star Trek podcast, where we do the deep dive on all things Star Trek. I'm your host, Patrick Murray, and alongside for the ride, the cool Klingon killer herself, Kat Drake.
Hello.
Okay, in this episode, we're talking about the Season 3 episodes Through the Lens of Time, or Lensi if you want to figure it out, and the Sehlat who ate its tail. And yeah, pretty much from here on out, we're going into spoilers. So, thoughts before we get into this any farther?
They were both pretty cool. I'll admit they were both really cool episodes, and
Oh,
I wish they did more. I wish
yep.
they did more things like that.
So let's get into it. But first, we're going to Pelea Watch.
Woohoo! Goodness. So, oh goodness. Right. So, Pelea Watch with Scotty on board and Carol Kane no longer in the main credits. We're tracking the inevitable departure of the quirkiest Enterprise engineer.
Well, she is, obviously. Pelea is front and center for the first episode, and not just an accessory, especially at the end. And since Scotty's on landing party duty, she's the engineer on board with the whole post-Mabel phone collection. So we're going to cut. We're not really going to talk much here because she's in.
Engineer, put.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into this. So let's start at the very top. We get the previously, which I'm covering because it's important, includes introduction of Dr. Corby, Spock finding Batel's gorniness, and Lon and Spock. And I'm not giving him a ship name because no. And Ortega says brother. So, into the episode itself, we get some rapid fire setup. We get Nurse Gamble's glorious log after 6 months on the Enterprise. He has a discussion with Mbenga where he fanboys for Corby before Mbenga has him actually go do some work. Chapel and Corby discuss their upcoming landing party. It's cute time for Chorby. Yes, they're getting a ship name. Chorby. We get some love triangle stuff with Chapel, La'an, and Spock. And Mbenga grills Gamble a little further before sending him on to landing party duty. This can't possibly go bad. We return to Spock and Chapel's awkwardness until Gamble shows up to interrupt the awkwardity. So, yeah, that was a lot of rapid fire. So let's just get to the briefing. So we're going to be dealing with the Macroon. They're allowing only a small landing party to come down to their planet. They have some discussion on whether Spock's coming down, but that's interrupted by a camera because Beto Ortegas. We got Beto Ortega's cam on the line for this one. Pelly, of course, wants to mug for the camera because it's Carol Kane. But that gives us a party of Chapel, Corby, Gamble, Uhura, and Beto, along with the Macroon rep, Najal. Gamble is, of course, awkward when they get down there. But they have this really cool magnetic anomaly. After Uhura sets up an emitter and gets to handle Beto's camera, they hit the button. Enterprise does its thing from up in high or in low orbit, and we get hidden ruins and a Jaws reference.
Hell yeah.
So apparently, we're going into ancient ruins this time.
Ruins? Oh. What's the difference between ruins and ruins? Oh, yeah. That you know what? Yeah, the
Yeah, we.
yeah. All I'm saying is instead of
Yep. Yeah, and I think we already know who it is because they did this shit to us in season one, got us
they
invested in a character, and yeah,
it's kind of funny considering they're using the terminology of Chekhov's gun when they had a character.
yeah. Imagine it was Chekhov. Which wait a minute, does that mean Star Trek Two is Chekhov's Chekhov?
It is Chekhov's Chekhov.
Yes. Okay, so let's get into this. Spock and Lon join the party because the crew know anybody else coming down. So we find some of their writing and a signet on a signet ring that Corby found on another planet, and some runes that point him to this planet. Looks like the Macroon might be descendants of the aliens that made this, and the aliens used quantum instability for immortality. They figure out the door needs blood because nobody goes in for lymph rituals. Chapel gives the door a drop of blood, and they're in. They start exploring a little bit further, discover comms and transporter don't work. They find an old starved grave robber corpse. I will get words out. Argue about noping out on this, but ultimately decide to stay. Then they find a tablet on the corpse, and Gamble finds a nice glowy orb, which of course explodes his eyes out. We get a lot of screaming and blood, and yeah. Gamble gets beamed to sickbay, a bloody mess. Mbenga puts this stupid plastic visor thing on him and sends the fragments to Pelia to examine. Beto sends his cam ahead into the ruins, meanwhile, and finds an artifact. Najal looks at this, panics, says something about evil, and then runs for the door, gets lasered out of the episode really quickly, and nobody seems to give a shit. And they discover it's a trap. Yeah. When Lower Decks warned.
Yeah, something will happen. It will. Like obviously, it's it's kind of it kind of gave it away, but at the same time, you're still curious. It's just human nature. You see something dark, big, and empty, and you think, I'm going to explore that. So exactly, except instead of sticking something in, they stick someone in. Like
Yeah.
people galore.
Yep. Either way, yeah, it looks bad for them because of course they're trapped in there and doors closed. So from here on, it's going to be two separate storylines till they merge back up together, Voltron style. So let's get down to that. So let's start here. Chapel figures out the door is locked because she starts pressing, and it doesn't seem to like her anymore. They discuss what triggered the door, and they figured out it was Najal trying to leave without Chapel, since she's the one that opened the door with her blood. After further discussion, they decide to go forward instead of sitting there until they starve to death. Chapel opens the door. They go through. Chapel and Lon, Uhura and Beto, Spock and Corby.
Sporby.
Yeah, we'll get back to they'll get that moment later. Chapel and Lon turn around to find everybody else is now gone. So they get it on the comms and find out that each pair appear to be in 3 different rooms. Chapel and Lon have that statue thingy. Spock and Corby are in the first room with the dead guys, and Uhura and Beto are in some other room. Now, in their room, Lon finds Chinese script alongside the other ancient writings. Chapel says the statue thing is alive. Lon immediately pulls the phaser because Lon prefers shooting things sometimes. Chapel, though, is fascinated by this statue beholder thing, or whatever they call it, because it's both there and not there because of the whole quantum instability thing. Spock and Corby, Sporby. Okay, better than Spackle with Spock and Chapel. Okay, Spock and Corby argue about whether they took enough precautions. Corby sees something about parasite and evils, plural, on the tablet. And then after noticing an injury that he doesn't remember sustaining, Spock grabs the goggles off of one of the dead guys, finds that panel actually has a well that's glowing, looks down, sees thousands of glowy orbs. One flies up and triggers some gonorrhea in Spock. As in, rah! Gonorrhea. Okay, to be fair, I stole that joke from Star Trek Online. Uhura is fascinated with a pillar shifting in and out of reality. But meanwhile, though, Beto is getting all panicky because he didn't sign up for getting trapped in the Temple of Doom. But Uhura comes and talks him back to competent because it's Uhura. Uhura. Then she suddenly figures something out. She calls the others and shares that they are.
This whole bit with the prison and the quantum instability in the same room and the whole magic. That's true, but yeah, I mean, magic is just science that can't be explained. So yeah, I guess this is just science, but at the same
So yeah, obviously they're going to have to figure that one out. But we're going to leave them aside, unless you have something else to add.
No, sorry, I'm trying to turn off autofocus on my camera. Uh,
Yeah, that's why I use old-fashioned buttons. I'm not this new. Ooh, I get touch the air, and somebody will add it in post. Shit. Uh,
yeah, it's just science, dude.
so let's switch over to the ship now and see what they've been doing. So on the ship, Gamble finds out he has no eyes because they popped out, and Mbega can't seem to get new ones generated for some reasons. Further scans are also inconclusive. Gamble's concerned because nothing is fixing this, kind of gets a little bit panicky, but Mbenga's more concerned because his readings say that Gamble is brain dead. Now he gets really panicky until Mbenga hits him with a little sedation. So we find out that by this point they figured out that the landing party is now missing, and they switched to trying to figure out what the splody orb was all about. Pelly and Scotty figure out it was some kind of containment vessel, and whatever was in it forced its way out. Pelly doesn't know what it is, but it gives her the heebie-jeebies. Pike calls for security and heads straight for sickbay. So after this, Gamble sits up in sickbay. Gamble starts talking about Mbenga's daughter, which Mbenga's never mentioned. We haven't heard since like season 1.
Yeah, we haven't heard of her since then because she got put in the pattern buffer.
Yep. And then got liberated by aliens. But yeah, he's talking about his daughter and is getting all creepy and insane. Um, he snaps out of it, and then suddenly he suddenly snaps out of it and is all scared. Then Battelle walks in. She and Gamble start talking to each other, and then Battelle gets her Gorn on, and they start fighting. And this is an awesome little fight. Pike walks in just in time for Gamble to knock Battelle down and run. Battelle turns looking all hungry and kind of staring down Pike, but Mbenga's on point with the hypo at that point. Mbenga runs out to find a red shirt in a standoff with Gamble, who has another crew member at phaser point, and another either unconscious or dead. Not confirmed dead, so we're not going to assume the blue shirt snuffed it. Mbenga manages to talk him down, and the red shirt asks him sickbay or the brig. We find out pretty quickly it's the brig. They put him in the brig, and of course we get the cut of Gamble giving us the scary evil smile. Meanwhile, we cut back to Pike waiting for Battelle to wake up, and while waiting there with a hypo spray. She shares her experience doing Gorn, and how she just wanted to exterminate evil Gamble. So, yeah, I'm having fun with the word Gorn today. Gamble starts talking personal shit to the red shirt, gets him to come in close, then reaches through the force field, kills the red shirt, and walks out, triggering some red alert. So yeah, we got a problem. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe she's a Gorner, we don't know.
We do. But also, I mean, technically speaking, does that make Battelle a Gorn star? We don't know if she's a Gorner yet. I mean, you're old and hearing someone say the word fart or boobs. But also, I mean, mm, you know what? I'm not even gonna comment. But the funny thing, I loved the fight between Battelle and Gamble because I was like, whoa, what if we get to see some weird like oh, what's it called? Yeah, like what if we got to see Battelle gone out? You know, kind of a Hulk transformation. She turns into a gone human hybrid. Like that'd be cool. Mm, yeah, I think. Yeah, I think I accidentally turned on the zoom by accident. Oh, at least I know how to. Yeah. To be fair, I meant to mention this earlier, but when they put like the visor on him, I was like, wait, we've never heard of Gamble before, and I can't remember Geordie's origin, so I thought, oh wait, is this going to be like a precursor to Geordie LaForge? Yeah, but then the eyes wouldn't grow.
No, and Benga was going to try to grow him new eyes. So yeah, but there was some other reason, not because he couldn't grow the eyes. So yeah, yeah, because it said he was brain dead. Which is he dead? Dead? So they start some. So back on the planet, they start assembling things in different places. One puts the tablet on the thing on the circular dais. Another puts the signet ring in another spot, and then Chapel finishes the puzzle. An hourglass appears, and she forms the head. Wait, And poof, they're all together in the same room. That was what I actually meant to say. Spock notices he's no longer injured, but then they all turn to the door, and there's still this nice, big, wide space. Um, so Spock gets under, starts fiddling with things, and then cuts himself, which leads him to figure out that the solution is that effect can precede cause. Usually it's cause and effect, but now we got it flipped. And to get to the door, they have to walk across the empty space. This is they debate about walking. Corby's being all scaredy and stuff. Spock then asks Chapel to trust him. She agrees, and they decide to walk. And of course, Chapel and Lon get to go first. But one thing, Corby doesn't get to get any of the cool relics because they walk right the fudge out of there and survive. And Chorby gets to be together, and surviving is the win here. So yay! Exactly. Okay. But yeah. Did you get Indiana Jones Last Crusade with this whole thing? We have we have definitely the Holy Grail, this cool thing, but you can't take it with you. And then of course the whole leap of faith step. I mean, yeah, yep, yeah. You can. It's plus it's been long enough since that movie came out. You could definitely use it. Yeah, long time. But yeah, and to be fair, they've been borrowing from every other thing. Like, I think this is getting a little bit into Event Horizon and Alien territory yet again. Because yeah, because th- let's get down to the crazy shit. Um, we cut to Evil Gamble, who has Pelia, Scotty, and Sam Kirk at Phaser Point. And it's clear he's just toying with them, mocking Pelia and drifting his phaser across each of them. Mega shows up, phaser drawn. Evil Gamble turns to point his phaser at Mega and taunt him. Then suddenly it appears Gamble might have control. Sounds scared. And Mega tries to get him to fight whatever's in him and offers the thing himself. Evil G starts to return. The phaser comes up, and Pelia shoots him right in the back. The spirit thing pops out, but Scotty's ready, of course, traps in the glowy ball and beams it straight into the pattern buffer, which will always work perfectly. And Gamble is dead. I was starting to invest in him because they had him from the first episode, and then yeah, they did another Hemmer. We get invested in the character, and they kill him. This was another Hemmer. Yep. Okay, let's finish this up. They keep discuss keeping the being in the buffer since that should surely hold him, no problem. They discuss what could happen if all of them baddies down there had gotten loose on the galaxy if the Enterprise just phasered everything. Beto asks if these creatures were evil. Pike says good and evil, all relative. It's the 23rd century's good, evil, it's all the same. There are no more lines. But Pelia corrects him, saying
There is evil in this universe as sure as there is good. As sure as there is matter.
then she asks Beto if he wants one for the camera because it's Carol Kane. Our final shot, though, is a shot of Mbanga making a call to Gamble's family to do the death notice. He walks off screen. The display screen, which says Vedza Lifeform, then starts glitching with the alien script, and that's where. So yeah.
Ooh,
So yeah.
that's yeah. I it's I don't mean to put my my degree in media studies hat on, but I'm probably going to be Chekhov at some point.
Oh yeah. I don't think they're going to ever.
No, but it was all in all, it was a
Yeah. So I we even though we only had him for less than 6 episodes, glad to have had Ensign Dana Gamble as our new crewman, who was kind of fun and integrating into the crew nicely, and wanted to see more of him. So
he had that energy that
yeah.
that would have made him great on the Enterprise, but then they were like, let's kill him.
So since although we may see him come back when the obvious Chekhov's computer glitch, I should say, comes back to haunt us in the future. So we might see him again, but this was the last episode for Chris Myers as Ensign Gamble.
Yep. I mean, really, we shouldn't call them Chekhov's computer glitch. I know what you're like. They really are just Chekhov's balls.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, another thing. This kind of reminded me a little bit of the movie Event Horizon, where I got a little bit of that in this too, as
You know
in
what?
this cosmic horror type thing, a little bit cosmic horror.
Yeah, to be fair, it's been a while since I watched Event Horizon, but I remember some of the basics, and it is
Yeah,
definitely cosmic horror esque, which honestly is great. I love cosmic horror. Oh, cosmic horror. Yeah. You know what?
yeah. This one really cranked up the wow. This is scary, and we enjoyed it. So so I think we'll leave that there because that was a good one. And now let's get to the next episode, which is the Sehlat who ate its tail. So in the previously, we get Kirk, we get a lot of dead people from Pike World, and we get Kirk pep talking Uhura. That's basically what we need to know. So the episode begins with a log from one James Tiberius Kirk, the first officer of the Farragut. They're surveying Helicon Gamma, and Kirk is so bored. Kirk's opining how he could do so much better than his Vulcan captain, Varel, since she's so risk averse. Kirk suggests they put some boots on the ground to her, but she nopes that, which is probably good because immediately after this, the surface of the planet explodes. And before Jimmy can say brace for impact, shit's done blowed up and people done gone flying. So we fade out and then back to find Captain Varel and half the crew are down, just the comms officer and Kirk. So before the opening credit, Kirk sees what's done blowed up part of the planet, but we don't because drama. Okay, so yeah, we're getting us a Kirk app. And I can't be happier because let's be honest, Paul Wesley, I think, is at this point my favorite Kirk. It before it was Chris Pine because Shatner is the other choice. Yeah, he can eat Shatner and die. Yeah, but to be fair, but yeah, although we do have to credit Shatner for originating the role and giving Paul Wesley a chance to mock that a couple episodes back. But yeah, I'm enjoying Paul
Oh,
Wesley
yeah.
immensely because he's having to actually develop Kirk and not just start with, "This is the USS Enterprise, and I am the captain. I will rip my shirt now and almost have something sexual with Spock, but not really because I want to bang the ship." Oh, come on. If Roddenberry could have gotten it off, we'd have gotten Spurk.
Yeah, that's true.
I think we're gonna almost get it there later in this episode, but oh well. Okay, so into the episode. The Enterprise shows up flying. Well, I can't talk. I'll let Lars edit that because he didn't switch from the teaser either. Okay, so so let's. Can you edit that out, Lars? Okay, so yeah, we'll cut that. Okay. Uh, hold on, real quick. I'm just gonna fix the flubs right here so that you can fix it. Okay. No, I just can't. I just can't talk because my brain runs about twice as fast as my mouth. So Enterprise comes flying in, starts shooting rocks and bouncing them off their
Patrick, are
shields
you
while
dyslexic?
Farragut's floating there. Inside the wrecked Farragut, Chapel, Horace, Spock, and Lon and Scotty all beam in to do some rescuing. Scotty starts sounding extra Scottish just before he runs off to engineering. Chapel heads
Oh
to sick
no!
bay. Yeah, Chapel heads to sick bay, dragging an injured crewman, and to find, of course, the chief medical officer's dead, and the captain's there in really bad shape. Meanwhile, Lon, Spock, and Uhura hit the bridge to find Kirk, trying to get things in order. They get the Enterprise on the screen. Kirk and Pike have a little convo. We find out it's basically a big ass ship that did all this. I mean, real big. We'll find out in a minute. Pike starts to evac the people from the Farragut, the ones that are in the escape pods and the ones injured in sickbay. And Lon takes the tactical data that they have because things aren't working right. She beams back to the Enterprise with it. Immediately after this, the comms, of course, go crazy, and big, ugly, tentacle-flinging, ship-eating ship shows up, grabs a mouthful of Enterprise, and nopes out real fast. Kirk calls down to sickbay for his captain because he has no idea what to do, but apparently she was just beamed to the Enterprise. Spock reminds Kirk that he is now captain of the Farragut. Kirk looks at the chair. So yeah, it's a Kirk ep with Spock and Uhura and Scotty as temp crew.
Yeah.
That's gonna be like they're finishing a 5-year mission. Then Kirk's going to take over at the end of season 5. So
Yes.
yeah, McCoy will be here short. McCoy will be here at some point.
McCoy will be here. Yeah, it's the
So he can't be born. He has to be born.
yeah.
Plus, he grows up real fast and gets
Look at the
crotchety
clone.
even faster. I
He-
can I can see that.
Oh wait, yeah, he is.
Oh
I
yeah,
I get
thanks for that
confused.
chair.
I get confused with age. I'm
Yeah.
just
So apparently McCoy's older than Kirk. Now we know that because we have people whispering in our ears.
yeah.
Okay.
We got the producer in our ears right now.
So interesting side note. This reminded me of something from they've been discussing shows that are that they're either planning on shooting, or there's discussion of that. But one of them was, for lack of a better term, a Star Trek Year One, which is basically the first year of Kirk on the Enterprise with his new crew, having to figure out how to be a crew. We're getting that in this episode. That, yeah, which is kind of cool because we have an actually untested James T. Kirk in command of the ship, trying to figure out, flying by the seat of his pants, guessing with no real understanding of what he could, of what he will become one day. So that's kind of fun. So, okay, so since we're broken into two ships now, let's get them covered separately so I'm not bouncing back and forth like so much. So, like, boing, keep boing, boing, keep boing, keep boing, keep boing, keep boing. Oh, sorry.
What
No,
are you, the Pixar lab?
Animaniacs. Yep, you suck. Stop trying to break us. I am not breaking ever. Okay, first let's get to the Enterprise. Okay, the Enterprise is trying to figure out how to get out of this whole mess. They discuss these Destroyer of Worlds myths, which seem to all cover the ship that just ate them. Una and Ortegas are staying on the bridge to try to get thrusters online, while Pike and Lon decide to head down to engineering to find out what's going on with the power drain since all comms are dead. As they make their way down, Pike and Lon run into Pelia, who lets them know about this whole umbilical stuck in engineering and that it's pouring toxic gas everywhere. They continue on towards that as Pelia heads towards the bridge. Meanwhile, on the bridge, Ortegas discovers the ship has basically shit for power because she doesn't fry herself trying to play with wires. So, yeah, controlling the thrusters probably not going to happen. But Pelia shows up with an idea for fixing communications and being able to control thrusters over communication. She mentions something about the 80s. Below, Pike, Lon, and a red shirt find the umbilical. Then a couple intruders pop up in bulky suits. They have a little firefight, and the red shirt eats it. Pike and Lon fight the dying red shirt as the intruders keep stomping forward. Phaser fire doesn't seem to do anything because they shoot at him and it gets absorbed to this box thing. So they make it into the lounge, but then the red shirt is officially redshirted because red shirt. They discuss options, crank the phasers up to kill, and when the aliens pop in, they Molotov their way right the hell out of there. In Pelia's quarters, she hooks up a car battery. Starts pulling out the post Ma Bell phones. Seriously, she had the one with the black cat one with the eyes, the princess phone. No, it wasn't a princess phone. It was like one of those fancy phones. In yeah, yeah. Paris Hilton was 20 years older. Ortega mistakes the handset of this one for a personal massager, and then the RJ-11 jacks start going in. We find out Pelia basically wants to reach out and touch everyone by wiring the Enterprises like the Battlestar Galactica, except in pink. As the intruders slog down around the umbilical, Pike and Lon pop out of a Jeffries tube, using the door as a shield, and start whooping some ass on the aliens. Lon takes the energy thing out on one, gets knocked down, and then blasts the alien guy into dust. Pike goes for a smack with the shield, gets it taken away, gets his faceplate broke, and basically surrenders. The intruder has a gunpoint, doesn't shoot, but Lon blasts the intruder, and it runs off. She then grabs Pike, drags him to safety so he can start breathing. After that, they manage to get back to the umbilical and figure out they're going to have to ruin the power supply that the Destroyer Worlds, we'll just call it the Dow, basically what basically ruined the power that Dow's sucking up out of them. So the rest of the crew, on the other hand, are running around with copper wire and the most dramatic use of RJ-11 connectors I've ever seen in Star Trek, along with a freaking dial tone that confuses number one, maybe even Cat here, for obvious reasons. Okay, were you still in diapers at this point? Yeah, we didn't have computers or the internet when I was two. Yeah. Yeah. They were still launching missions to the moon when I was alive. No, I think no, the last one was in 72.
Okay,
So.
no,
No.
you listen here.
Skylab was a
You
thing when I
listen
was
here.
a kid.
I remember dial-up internet.
Skylab. No, Skynet's in the future, just before all restaurants become Taco Bell because of the franchise wars. Okay, where was I? We got too far off there. Okay, so Pelia wires up her whole exchange. The pink phone rings to life, and Ortegas takes the pink personal massager handset with Mbanga and Una on thrusters in a threesome call. I mean, a three-way call. So they're ready to go. So obviously they're waiting on something. They're getting ready to go, but they're not going to be able to do anything until the Farragut shows up. So that's yep. Also, where did Pelia come up with all these phones? I don't even have any phones left, and I'm an electronic pack rat. I got boards. I got boards that are older than you. Yeah, but yeah, yeah. I'm guessing she raided the Radio Shacks when they went out of business. That's uh, yes. No, then they'd have survived, which she means she had a five-figure discount of everything. We already remember from yeah, because we remember from the prior episode she took something from a museum she worked at once. Lon was grilling her for that. Yes, yeah, she single-handedly brought down Radio Shack. That's it. Yeah, looked like quit that job before that happened. Damn you, Pelia. Okay, let's get over to the Farragut and see what's going on over there. So on the Farragut, Kirk gives his first acting captain log, talking about how he has the Enterprise crew filling in for his crew, and how he has to ask these people he doesn't know to trust him. He gets interrupted by said crew. They assess the whole sitch, and he makes a call to chase after the Dow. Um, Kirk starts firing out orders, tells Scotty works some miracles, and off they go. So we cut a little bit later to a Jeffries tube where Scotty is Scottish cursing the ship because apparently they don't want to have to bleep things out. Kirk comes by to banter a little bit, shares that the mineral that the Dow was after is also on another planet called Sullivan's Planet, and the Dow is heading there now. And there's 100 million people. So Kirk wants to chase, obviously. Scott explains the ship's going to break if Kirk wants him to push it to go too fast. Kirk tells him to push it. So we cut to a little bit later as the Farragut flies past the Dow, and Kirk is all celebratory. Then he sees the chair and finally sits in it. He doesn't Riker that chair, but we'll take what we can get. And then the plasma manifolds blow just as Scotty had warned. No, more power till space dock. Oh, sorry. That's yeah. I started blasting that song after I wrote that line. Okay, and so the Dow is heading their way, and they're stranded and probably boned. So this crew discusses the options, which are either pretending to play dead or trying to get out of the way. Scotty's getting even. I think that they cranked the Scottish up on Scotty to 11 at this point. Yeah, and then they turn to the captain to see which crappy option they're going with. Kirk nopes everything, and F's right the effing F off. See, Lars, I can manage not to say fuck in an episode. Wait, fuck, I fucked up. Fuck. They find out that this is Kirk's first real command. Chapel talks about removing the captain, but Uhura talks about how Kirk inspired her. Remember that opening thing when they were in deep shit previously, and then they land on sending someone to talk to the captain. Specifically, Spock walks in to find Kirk moping over the 3D chess set he and Captain Varel were playing on before. So Spock gives a Spock motivational speech. It's fairly ineffective. And after hearing how Sam's been talking about him, Kirk admits that he's pretty much frozen because he was always gunning for the chair. But now that he's there, he doesn't have any idea what to do, and everything he's doing is going wrong. So he kind of relates it to a dog catching a car. Spock retorts with, the Sehlat who ate its tail. They share a moment, a smile, and we have Spurk. You know, this is the romance we've been waiting to see. Not Chapel, not Lon, not
Patrick, 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 we have a show to do. Come along now, Patrick.
but they're all sexy and stuff. So
okay.
sexy.
Look, you can look at the pretty men later.
Oh. Fine. Okay, Kirk and Spock walk out, and Kirk gets down to being Captain Kirk with an inspiring speech. They discuss how the Dow just wants to eat. Kirk tells Scotty to make the ship look like a snack so they can then kick the Dow's ass somehow. Spurk unites for a little bit of banter, and Kirk kind of gets ready for the next crazy part of his plan to be revealed at the dramatically appropriate moment. Or he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. One of those two. Yeah, you knew I was going to make the Spurk jokes. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the biggest jokes in the fandom, and knowing what you're
they've been
like,
doing
you're
it since
definitely gonna be
Shatner and
making those
Nimoy, but I
jokes.
can't imagine that because that involves Shatner. Yeah, and
Um,
yeah, but then you get Chris Pine and Zach
ugh.
Quinto. Oh.
No,
Some of the stuff I heard produced was amazing. Oh, come on.
do not ruin the J.J. Abrams Star Trek for
Don't
me.
worry.
I love Chris Pine.
J.J. Abrams ruined the J.J. Abrams Star Trek for us. Thank you very much. Fair enough. Which is probably why I threw that reference in. But well. But yeah, the big thing I take away from this is Kirk was playing first officer to a Vulcan, and now he's got a Vulcan acting sort of as his first officer, and it's just flowing. So this is his balance. This is his life mate. This is his lover. This is his partner forever. Although then we get to Star Trek Motionless Picture, he's ready to trade out for some other Vulcan and just do the ship. Seriously, in the novelization, need I say more? Well, it is Shatner. I think Gene Roddenberry just wanted to mess with him. So definitely not in that way ever. Okay, so let's get down. Let's get down to the rat killing here. So the Dow pops out of warp, looking to do some munchy munchy on the Farragut. Scotty and Uhura sitting at the forward stations, Chapel and Spock back at the science stations, and James T. Kirk in the chair. Yeah, sure. Okay, Scotty's making the ship look all tasty like. The Dow gets the munchies, tentacles come flying, and Kirk gives the order. Uhura punches the ship to full impulse, flies the ship up and over the Dow, dodging the tentacle party, and then does a barrel roll. Scotty at the right time pops the nacelles off. They go slamming into the enemy ship, and they short the whole thing out. The Sehlat has eaten its tail. Farragut calls the Enterprise, telling them to get the fudge out, but the umbilical's still hanging on like my ex. Pike and Lon joke about blowing themselves up doing this. Then they do the sour the milk trick, run, run the hell out of there, and I lost my spot. Yeah, and the umbilical pulls out like a teenager about to. The power comes back. Um, and Ortega starts calling out thruster commands until Una's port thruster goes out. She then leaves Ortega's hanging, literally, to go pop the airlock, and the Enterprise lurches out of the ship-sized pie hole. Pike and Lon, meanwhile, are still down below. They're tracking the bloodstains of the intruder. The Dow starts to come back to life, targeting the Enterprise. Kirk orders phasers. Spock immediately points out that the phasers were ineffective when Enterprise was doing it, and Kirk asks him for some options. So we cut to Farragut firing torpedoes, which fly past the Enterprise, down the Dow's gullet, and into a Klingon ship that's not the same bird of prey from Star Trek 6. They blew up in like every third episode of TNG. The Klingon ship takes out the Dow in a Hollywood explosion, and the crew celebrates. Meanwhile, Pike and Lon finally find the intruder. Farragut is scanning for survivors, finds 7,000 of them, dwindling, and they can't beam them out. Then Spock sees something about the life signs. Kirk looks at the life signs. Meanwhile, Pike discovers that inside the suit is a human, and the life signs are all human. So they zoom in looking for identifying marks, and they see a hull with an American flag on it. So Una reveals to the Uhura. We cut to the room. I cannot talk today. We cut to the conference room where Uhura is revealing to the crew that a group of scientists left the post-war pre-first contact Earth and ended up disappearing. Pelly remembers that these were the best of Earth that left. And then apparently the crew just killed the descendants of who became what they were in the Destroyer of Worlds ship. The final scene is Kirk and Pike discussing returning to space dock nacelle-free. Aldebaran whiskey seems to be the solution to satisfy Admiral April. Pike shares with Kirk that this is the price of command. Decisions often cost lives, they cause regrets, and you have to live with it. Kirk shares that he didn't think they were people. Pike says that might actually be this lesson, but he also points that these people saw who they were, and they still were attacking us. And that Kirk ultimately did make the right call, but this is also a reminder that often that we are not different from our enemies. And Pike wishes Captain Kirk a good night. And that's how we end this episode. So yeah, it's a little bit of a gut punch at the end because, yeah.
It was.
Yeah. I don't think that's going to be the case because I think they would have had Captain, I see an escape pod, and they get the escape pod and they have something. I think they would have dragged that up. So yeah, I don't think we got survivors on this one.
Well, R.I.P. the first contact humans.
Pre-first contact humans.
Pre-first contact humans. gone and probably forgotten after 2 episodes.
Yeah. Yeah. But this marks a point in Kirk's command where it's going to help define him more.
That is true. Yeah. I mean, almost every captain has their own little bit of trauma.
Yeah. And this was let's give some Captain Kirk trauma to our acting Captain Kirk.
On brand new Captain Kirk. Hell yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this was I think I like this one even better than the prior episode because one, Paul Wesley's Kirk is always fun to have along.
Hell
Two,
yeah.
it felt like I'm an egomaniacal captain who always wins, and he just got handed a here you won. Let me kick you in the balls. Oh, there you go. There
You
you
won.
won. You
Here's
won.
your
How's it
prize.
feel, bitch? Sorry, I'm just imagining Kurt Shatner getting kicked in the balls. Okay,
Now that would
I'm
be a
back.
lovely sight.
Okay, we're back.
We are so back. Not really, no. I mean, they were both pretty good episodes, I will admit. I just wish that, you know, maybe we got a different outcome for the Destroyer of Worlds, or maybe Gamble got to live. But that's just the nature of the Sehlat. Oh, you mean oh crap, what's his face? Napalm? Najat. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
That's not the
He
name.
kind of
I'm scrolling up. I will give us his name, Najal. Thanks. Thanks for that, Lars. Yeah, Najal. Uh, yeah, yeah. But to be fair, we kind of completely forgot about him because he was like great entries in the list of great Star Trek Strange New Worlds episodes. So did we get it right? Did we miss anything? Agree, disagree? Let us know. So thank you for joining us here on Treknicity, where we do the deep dive on all things in the Star Trek multiverse. I'm your host, Patrick Murray, and with me is my co-host, Kat Drake. And of course, thanks to Lars bouncing around back on the boards, making the magic happen, and correcting us when we mess up, because we do that way too often. Be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Treknicity.com, as well as visiting all the socials listed here, or find us on your favorite podcast service, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. If you have ideas for future episode subjects, please feel free to drop a comment on this video or DM us on any of our social media accounts. We will listen. And as always, rock out.
I'm the